Act 1, Scene 1. The empty cell. Curtain opens. Stage is dressed as a standard humanoid containment chamber, with amenities befitting such a place. On the bed at center stage sits our hero, Sir Richard Gloucester, heading forlornly and addressing the audience. Here again I sit, here again you read. As long as you read, I'll sit. But longer than that I cannot stand, nor indeed can I sit. For you see, kind reader, that one cannot sit, or stand, or for that matter, if one cannot be. And so with this one, in particular, cannot be if one is not read. My life is bound to this page here. I am not so much blood and bone and flesh as I am ink and paper and story. He turns, now speaking to himself more than the audience. It was not always so, no. Once I was mortal, a playwright even, though not a very good one, I'm afraid. So clumsy, though dreadfully long-winded, so pompous. None of my work was ever desired. None of it lasted longer than a week. Dozens of plays I published, and not one single word was remembered longer than a single pitiful fleeting fortnight. One night, I could not take it any more. My razor I take from my dresser grab-bed, and open my left wrist, and my closed right, that writing right which now wrote thin and great red letters upon my walls and clothing. I prayed to every god and spirit and being I know. I prayed that I be forgotten, purged from the whole wide world, that, if ever again my name be heard, it be as the author of some great art, immortalized by my work, found sadly after my departure from this cruel coil. In hindsight, perhaps, I should have chosen my words more carefully, or perhaps not have said any at all, said not a word, or indeed should not have written any. He turns back to the crowd, speaking clearly to the audience. And so here I am. The cell you put me in sits empty, aside from this lone tomb. He gestures to a bookcase containing a single volume. This is my life and times, the tragedy of me. All that I am, and here shall be, all myself contained within these pages. I do not breathe, yet you convince yourselves I speak to you. I cannot move, save for as described in stave direction, yet you are determined to transport me and address me as if I stand in front of you, even as you try to catalogue me as a specimen or experiment. You cannot help but write poems and flowery prose, where you mean to describe cold, unfeeling fact. My words flow and change through each reader, but my existence holds static. Cold and cruel, all my world's a stage. Fade to black. Act 1, Scene 2, Interview. Lights come up on an interview room. On one side of the table sits Gloucester. Opposite him sits Senior Researcher Marlowe. Good afternoon, Richard. Good morrow, good doctor. What brings you here? I have a few more questions for you, if you don't mind. But of course, though I find minding is not done by 1 month in mind can only be. Excuse me? Nothing, doctor. Carry on, if you will. Right. As you know, we're still puzzled as to where you've come from, or when. As far as we can tell, you just turned up in one of our libraries a few weeks ago. Even more puzzling is your demeanor. You act and dress like a 16th century tree nobleman, but your vocabulary is decidedly modern. A bit with a or is a blithering affection, and your dental work can't possibly have been done earlier than 1970. Where are you from? A straight answer this time, please. Well, how can I answer such a question? Was I born at the time and place of Sir Richard Gloucester, or minutes ago at your desk as you begin transcribing this exchange? Or was I born here and now, at your screen, as you now read this document? What? Who are you talking to? I don't understand. Nor will you ever, I'm afraid. Art cannot possibly be apprehended by those who are not artists. Close the book, good doctor. Forget me for the time being. Marlowe begins to ask further questions, and Gloucester answers. But the pair cannot be heard by the audience. The two continue the interview as the lights begin slowly dimming. As before, the stage totally dark. Gloucester faces the audience and bows slightly. Epilogue 05 Soliloquy. A new character, 058, walks into spotlight and addresses the audience. If you are seeing this, then you may be beginning to grasp the nature of SCP-2763. At the moment, we're not sure how much control the entity has over what events are depicted in copies of a play written, but the text is clearly altered to reflect certain events, as evidenced by the fact that newer transcriptions are instead titled The Tragedy of SCP-2763, a modern Euclid tale. At the moment, the 05 Council had determined that all written record of SCP-2763 be sealed, and all copies of a play written in Foundation custody be stored in the restricted printed mathematics library of Site-63. But buried to that chamber, there he'll lie. In that far archive shall Sir Richard die. He speaks to himself as the stage goes black. Curtain close. The end.